Hello, all you beautiful, creative people out there in the world. Thank you all so much for being here with me. My name is Dank P.H.A.R.T, the pirate poet. P.H.A.R.T is spelled P-H-A-R-T and is an acronym for Pretty Hot and Reasonably Talented. I'm doing these series of interviews about ideas, concepts, stories, technologies that can go for related to my project, the poem, the Peace on Earth movement, where I teach people how to make peace on Earth by drawing a peace sign on the earth. And so this is about how ideas and concepts, how we can take this seemingly impractical idea of drawing a peace sign on the earth and how we can actually create the systems and how the systems are actually being created and being put into place so that we can actually create a thriving society at all levels. And that is, I'm here today with Eros Rosenfield. Cool. Eros Rosenfield, one of the founders of the Nectar social platform ecosystem, social networking ecosystem. It is a really beautiful platform that is being birthed here in Boulder, Colorado. Yeah, Eros, can you give us a little bit about yourself and maybe a little bit how this project came into existence?
Yeah, thanks, man. We're just over 2 years into the latest iteration of Nectar, and my partner Tom Bassett and I met end of 17, and he'd already been working on a social community platform for about 3 years on his own, kind of in his spare time at nights, just because he felt passionate about how to create technology to really bring people together in a new way. And we were introduced by people in the community who said, like, you guys really need to talk to each other. We were both kind of wanting to change the world. And we had some real passionate discussions. And I realized he was just so talented that whatever we were dreaming of doing, I felt that he could do it and that we could do it together. The big vision was that most of the systems on the planet are broken: financial, food, energy, housing, governance, social, technology, because they're all been corrupted by profit and greed and misinformation and you name it. And we felt like with the gift of technology and the global connectivity that we have now that's never really existed throughout history, there's a unique opportunity to create real change through that touch point of how we're connecting through social technology. So Nectar was born beginning of 18, and the idea was, let's create technology that's infused with love. And it sounds kind of hippy dippy, but for us, it was a real value-based proposition that unless you had the right intentions in the DNA of this thing that you were creating, then whatever it grew into wasn't going to reflect those values unless they were in there from the beginning. And if you look at Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg's last website before he created Facebook was like a hot or not type website for judging the hotness of women. And that's kind of the mind state and the DNA where he was coming from. And in the early days of Facebook, he told a friend, man, these idiots are giving me their emails and look at all this information I'm getting from people. They're so stupid. And so that's kind of the DNA of what became this like 2.5 billion person network. It wasn't coming from a place of consciousness. It wasn't coming from a place of compassion or care for people on the planet. It was just something totally immature and infantile. And unfortunately, to this day, Facebook's really about profit. It's about controlling people's information, gathering as much information as they can about people. And it's a little sad that it's become so ubiquitous and we're all there when there's a potential for so much more. And so we felt all these kind of, emergent sparkles in the field of people are like, hey, we can do more together. Let's change the world. Let's lift people up. Let's create better systems. Let's create systems for governance and self-organization and sharing information and really change the world. And we were like, well, no one else is really doing it. So let's do it.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I've been dreaming of this for a long time. I've never really been stoked on Facebook, even though I've been on it since the beginning because I was a college student and you had to be a college student and it's just where you found the parties and like, whatever. I never really gave much more credence to it, but I've always been really knowing that something like Nectar was going to come along and that it really would create that to the actual empowerment that Facebook markets itself as. And so, what are some of those ways that you feel like a social network rooted in love can be a foundation for creating those things that you were talking about in those new systems?
Yeah, I think the first step is creating shared agreement as to why we're here. Why are we on this network, and what does it mean to be a citizen of this network? And what's the basic mechanics, right? So on Facebook, there you're selling your attention for ad revenue for them. So we give attention, Facebook sells ads, profit goes to shareholders. That's kind of the basics, right? And so we're saying, okay, let's change that to a model where we're all showing up, agreeing to be positive, to support each other, with the concept that everyone has a unique gift to offer, and how can we support and encourage and help those gifts grow. And so that's the whole idea of Nectar is, for instance, in nature, every flower has a unique essence, and that essence is that flower's gift to the world. And then you have pollinators that come and they, pollinate flowers and carry messages and energy and pollen and so forth. But the idea is if we're all collaborating and giving our gifts, then the world is evolving, because we're I think born for a reason and born to give a certain gift, whether it's a talent, a skill, music, art, poetry, ideas on how we can take things to the next level. And so unless we're all creating a culture of giving, celebrating, and harvesting all of that, then we're not really doing what we're here to do. So we built first there's basic agreements. As soon as you get you join Nectar, it says, okay, I'm agreeing to be positive, to show up with love. And so that's creating a field or a container where it's a formalized entry point of, okay, I'm now in a positive field where there's values and a vision. And so already it feels different. And for a lot of people, that's the moment where they say, okay, now I'm home. Where I was before, it didn't really make sense. I just felt chaotic and wasn't grounded in values, but now I feel those values and they reflect how I feel inside. So that's the first step, is let's all get on the same page, same field. And then creating a culture of like naming your purpose. So not just, hey, here's a picture of me eating some cake, but why are you here? What's important to you? Let's have that conversation like right away. So as soon as I meet, Dank P.H.A.R.T, I'm not saying, oh, there he is, having a party. I'm like, oh, this guy is passionate about meaningful poetry and creating peace on earth. Like, wow, okay, that's real. I can relate to that. So that's number one. It's like, let's just name our purpose. And then from there, it's like, oh, you want to create this project? I know a person or a network, or I have this tool. Let me help you achieve your purpose in the world, right? So that becomes the natural next step, is like helping each other achieve our purpose. And already that's creating like a vastly different culture than what we have now, right?
Yeah. And I think it'll also create the value that you need in the world. Like, I've always really believed that's kind of where I've always come from. That's why I've just dedicated myself to working in the community and everything. And that's created the value that I need. It's not made a ton of financial return yet, but it's made enough for me to support myself. But I've always believed that if you're putting yourself out there in the world, developing your skills and putting your gifts in the world, your needs will be met through the world, and coming back to meet that, and really having that. And when you're out there sharing, people are authentically sharing in a way that's forward, and they want to connect with it and be a part of it. And when we're all sharing a little bit, we can all start to have a whole lot. And I see Nectar kind of as that thread work that can help to create that.
It's so true. And the model of extracting attention, resources, people's time for profit, that's what really is the broken system. Buckminster Fuller said, we have the resources to provide for everyone on earth, working a fraction of the time that we're working now. Because if you take the extracted profit equation out of the picture, and you just look at the resources we have, if we're actually looking out for each other, if we're intelligently managing our resources, if we're looking not just at financial capital, but social capital, cultural capital, natural resources, human capital, there's abundance already. It's just the system that's creating scarcity to create control, right? So what's interesting is this starts with social technology, but it really moves through every system on the planet. And so the idea is now that we're in a mindful culture and platform where we're sharing information, we can, for instance, name our goals and say, okay, we want to have housing for every person on earth. And then people can start applying their intelligence to how do we solve that problem? And oh, look at this, there's already tons of people working on that, but it's not in the news. And it's being suppressed by governments and so forth, who are kind of slaves to that profit system. So once you start having people really thriving in a conscious social environment, they start naturally solving problems, prioritizing what's important, making the right information available instead of sensationalizing basically bullshit news like this celebrity slept with that celebrity and whatever. How is that helping the rest of us? Like, how is that meaningful news? Why are we giving attention and focus to that when there's so much more we could do, right? So unfortunately, it's kind of like you have to completely change the whole system of information, news, socializing, everything, right? Financial. So we've been experimenting with hybrid business models of, how do we generate a mother fund of resources to support all these projects, from micro grants.
Second interview I've worked with that's developing a mother fund.
Yeah, and I think these same impulses are emergent all over the planet. And there's people who are like, oh, we need this thing and we need to do that. And the challenging part is human nature, because you have 1,000 people holding the same idea and they self-organizing in an efficient way, without ego and money and scarcity and control becoming issues. That's really the next challenging step for us as humans, is how do we move forward and kind of get out of the way, like get ourselves, our egos out of the way. And so we've had, hundreds of conversations with other people. They're like, oh, we want to build the same thing. And it's like, okay, how do we work together? And it's tricky. It's really tricky because there is no simple way to just like ants, like just plug yourself into this greater mission. It always becomes, well, this person needs to get paid. They need a salary. And who's going to pay that salary? And who's going to make the decisions? And so that's why we just got started. Instead of kind of just endlessly iterating these conversations, we said, well, we know how to build the thing. We'll just go build the thing and we'll keep trying to have these conversations. And at this point, where we've gotten to is we've built an amazing platform, right? We have a web platform, we have an iOS app, an Android app. All the basic features are there. And the real challenge has been raising enough money to hire like a full team, because in this day and age, to compete with Facebook, you need a marketing team. Yep. And you need storytellers and engagement experts. And Facebook, they have, I think, 45,000 engineers and, unlimited funds. They can buy any technology company they want. Plus, they already have all the usership. And even the people that are on Facebook that are like, we have to have a better social platform than Facebook. You can say, try Nectar. And they'll be like, oh, but everyone's not there yet. And yeah. I don't want to go till everyone's there. And so then certain people are like, well, we all have to migrate together. And so we're like, yeah, let's do that. But we just haven't been able to get past the hump of like mass migration and people not wanting to leave the herd. And right now the herd is on Facebook. So it's been tough. And, for the moment, Tom had to take another project just to have a salary. And I've had to kind of attend to all the things that I've been neglecting for the last 2 years while I was like full time on Facebook. On Nectar. So it's tough. And so we see other people who are like, yeah, I'm going to start a project right now. And we're like, well, we have 7 years and 8,000 hours into this and it's already built. And then you run into the ego stuff of, well, but that's your thing. That's your brand. And I want to do my own brand. And so it's interesting. I think this comes up like in same thing when you create a conscious community, right? You have all these people who are like, let's create a conscious community. It makes so much more sense. And we'll grow food together and have solar power. And then you do it. And one guy's like, well, we should all be naked. And someone else is like, but I have kids and I'm not cool with you being naked. And then it's like, well, how do you get past these human differences and these human challenges, right?
Yeah, 100%. I really love Nectar. I think it's a really beautiful, streamlined platform. And I definitely think you guys will be successful. Can you tell me a little bit about the model of for itself as a how since Facebook basically you are the product, and I really like how you said citizen of Nectar. So it's like a total different relationship, and I think that's kind of what a lot of what feeds into Facebook is that like it really is trying to get your attention focused and everything on various different things. So you're clicking, and the money's going to wherever in the ads. But you're talking about being a citizen. Can you tell me like a little bit about how your model would be supportive of the creators of it and stuff, and so how it's a mutually beneficial system for all from the bottom to the top?
Yeah, I mean, the general idea was no ads. We're not focused on getting you to use the platform more. We're not monetizing your attention or your time. You do have to cover basic expenses, right? So servers, developers, designers, marketing people, legal, and all of that. So you need some kind of resource generation. And if you're not serving people ads, then it's a member supported network. And you can look at it like a co-op, and we've looked at co-op models. There's lots of ways of looking at it, but essentially it has to be worth it to people to contribute a minimal amount each month where they're supporting the greater organization. And so originally it was $5 a month. And we thought, well, that's the price of a cup of coffee. It's not a lot. You know, you buy a power bar or a cup of coffee, like you just spent $4 or $5. And a lot of people were like, I'm totally fine with that. $5 is great. And then there were people that are kind of just used to getting stuff for free, unfortunately, or they think it's for free when they're really selling their information. So you have some people that totally get it, and other people are like, well, you should be paying me to use your thing. And, you know, it's kind of a wide spectrum. But the idea was if we're all contributing a minimal amount and we really scale, that creates a lot of resources. And if there's no profit motive, then you can give those resources back. So we created the Pollinator program, and the idea was like, if you invite people, if you have a following, a network, a group of friends, and you invite those people, we did instant revenue sharing, right? So we called it, you know, organic abundance generation. And basically we're sharing resources right away. And so that's like the people that are growing are then getting resources to support their projects. And once there's a baseline of resources, then we can give grants to people. So if you have a project, there's a lot of ways to technologize it. People can just subscribe. It can be like a Patreon kind of model, or you can apply and say, I have this project, and the community can vote and say, that's a great project. Let's allocate some resources to it. But the scale of what you can create, I mean, if we had 1 million users paying $5 a month, that's $60 million a year in resources that we can give back. We can have a full team. We can be developing new technology. I mean, we think that we can create tools that are online with what Google's creating, but from this positive culture, from this intention of creating, you know, social evolution. And that just hasn't been done. Pretty much in every technology company out there, profit is the driving motive, right? And it's a very masculine, extractive model. And so the idea with Nectar is let's make it feminine, let's make it soft, and let's emphasize listening and patience and holding space, and see if we can just flip the whole script on technology. You froze on my end.
Ooh, so unfortunately we got booted off the internet there, so we're gonna have to wrap it up with that. But be sure to check out Nectar.Earth, this beautiful, beautiful platform. Be sure to check out Nectar.Earth, be part of the social media revolution, founded with love, built into its DNA. Nectar.Earth. Be sure to check it out, and it's a very, very reasonable membership fee. They've got it down to $1 a year, and through that you get true connection to people with intention and positivity, really providing that ability for us all to flourish and flower together. And you can also have it be supportive of you by you onboarding your friends and being a pollinator, getting that movement, the Nectar social network movement blowing up so we can create these systems of collaboration and supporting of each other. Thank you all so much. I have been here with Eros Rosenfield, one of the founders of Nectar, social tools and ecosystem for conscious social interaction and communication. I am Dank P.H.A.R.T, the pirate poet. P.H.A.R.T is spelled P.H.A.R.T is an acronym for pretty hot and reasonably talented. This interview has been part of an interview series that I have been doing for the launch of my social media campaign called The Poem Peace on Earth movement, where I teach people how to make peace on Earth and offer it as a social media challenge for you to make peace on Earth by making a peace sign on the Earth. Take some deep breaths, say some positive affirmations, put some good mojo into your being, and radiate that up through your hands into the earth, making a peace sign. And we will have a massive movement of people making peace on earth. These interviews are all about ideas, concepts, systems, technologies that can take a small, seemingly frou-frou, silly, weird, not really practical concept of making peace on earth by drawing peace signs on the earth, and how we can create and have the tools that will allow us to create the thriving world that we all wish to see. So thank you all so much for being here. Be sure to participate in the Peaceful Mother Lover Challenge. Share this. Share the poem video, Peace on Earth movement, and let's all thrive together. Thank you all so much for being here. Many blessings.